As we mentioned, the Electoral College is voting today. Normally, this is just a formality, but today, several electors will defy tradition to vote for someone other than the candidate who won the popular vote in their own state. These faithless electors hope to prevent Donald Trump from getting the necessary 270 votes to be elected president. Chris Supine, a Texas electoral delegate who is not voting for Donald Trump, is on the phone with us. Chris, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
It's my pleasure. Good afternoon.
So, you're a Republican. Why have you decided not to vote for Donald Trump?
Well, there's a number of reasons. One, the clearest and most objective reason is Mr. Trump would violate the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution from day one. And that's a problem that puts the House of Representatives, a Republican House of Representatives, having to decide if they will initiate impeachment hearings right away. But we know Mr. Trump has got foreign holdings across the world that receive money from those governments. In addition, it's not clear where he stands in terms of foreign policy and securing America's national interest. In your last story alone, the question about the Russian ambassador being shot in Turkey. Turkey's a NATO ally. Will Mr. Trump uphold his commitment to NATO should Russia go to war with Turkey over this incident? And while there's no talk of that now, you have to ask yourself, given his strong ties to Russia and what appears to be Russia interfering with our election on his behalf, where are his allegiances? Are they to our NATO commitments, or are they to his friends in the Kremlin?
So, Chris, who are you voting for?
I will be voting for Ohio Governor John Kasich.
And do you think that's going to make a difference? Do you think enough other people will flip with you?
I don't know what other people will do. I know it makes a difference in the fact that someone is standing up and saying, we need a candidate who does not have financial conflicts of interest, both here and abroad, and who puts America's foreign policy interests before in other countries. And I think John Kasich fits that bill.
So what's your answer for people who say it's your duty as an elector to vote for the candidate who won the popular vote in your state?
Yeah, I think for over 200 years, we've had the ability to affirm voters' elections, but clearly the founders intended for us to exercise some judgment when it was called upon and necessary. Otherwise, we would simply put jelly beans in a jar or bricks or casks of whiskey, something like that, to count votes. And we don't do that. We use individual electors by the state for a reason. It's to exercise judgment.
So, you know, this election has obviously brought up the question, should we continue to use the Electoral College? Do you think we need to get rid of it?
I do not. I'm a huge fan of the Electoral College. I think it continues to do what it's always done, which is protect smaller states from the quote-unquote tyranny of the majority. I don't think that Texas and California and Florida and New York should run national elections, but that every state should be considered. But at the same time, I think the Electoral College can also serve as an emergency brake. In a sense, what I'm trying to do by applying my vote against Mr. Trump and in favor of another Republican.
And what do you say to, there are a lot of people that are saying that, you know, the Democrats are just still in denial, and even some Republicans, they just won't accept these results.
Well, I'm not a Democrat, so it's hard for me to speak for what the Democratic Party thinks.
Right, but you're not voting for who your state voted for.
Correct, because I don't think he fits the bill under the Constitution, and he's got the wrong character for the office in terms of his financial dealings that he's played fast and loose with for decades.
All right,
so
Chris,
that's not a denial issue, that's an affirmation.
But you're not listening to what everybody else, how they voted, is what I'm saying, in your state.
Sure, but respectfully, the person who represents me in Congress votes against what I think all the time, and she does it because she's my representative, and we see things differently, and that's quite frankly how representative government works. Sometimes they vote exactly the way you want, many times they may not. So that's not necessarily new or different than anything else.
Will you accept this if this continues to go the way it looks as it's going to go, that Donald Trump will continue to be the president-elect? Will you support him moving forward?
He will be the president. I will support him when he does things well. When he does things that I consider foolish, I will be critical of him, just as I have with President Obama, President Bush, and President Clinton before him.
All right, Chris Supine, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.